So if you were brand new to this project and you wanted me to describe it, I would say that it's a project for joy, first of all. It's about engaging people with story and poetry, collaborating together and kind of asking the question, how do you turn a poem and a story into something that you can touch, into something that you can taste, into something that you can feel?
It's really interesting as a writer to play with you know, what is poetry, and like, can poetry be an experience, or can poetry be unwritten? And we wanted to talk a little bit about nature and the environment, and you know, that's kind of something that's a conversation that's happening globally at the moment, and you know, it's a conversation that, you know, should be here as well as everywhere else. And so the first week we looked at water and the sea, and we brought in seaweed, and there was a message in a bottle and the smell of salt, and we went on a mad journey and ended up on an island with Donald, and there was a sea witch, and the sea spoke to us, which is where the poetry came in. We're sailing to the 7th sea.
Donald set sail just like you did on a ship on a clear and beautiful day. You would enjoy the slap of the waves as they crashed against the side of the boat. You'd enjoy the crash of the waves.
You see it?
Wow. Donald's boat broke, and the beam came crashing down onto his head. And when he wakes up, he's on a beach. And all he can smell is the seaweed.
You smell this?
Sure. The strength. The smell of the seaweed up his nostrils.
Smell it?
It's almost climbing up.
Oh, it's quite strong, isn't it?
I wished he had a little fog horn.
I am the sea, I am the sea, oh you little slimy barnacles, listen to me. I am the sea, I am the sea, if you want to get out of this mess, you must listen to me.
Out from the fog and the seaweed there appeared a witch.
Adam, if you look at the sea, you might see a chocolate fish.
Oh, it's a drunken sailor.
Leyla and the Scottish Poetry Library, they're an absolutely integral part. I've worked alongside them in a collaborative way to discuss how the story and poetry work alongside each other. So how do you make these two mediums come together, and being inspired by the language of poetry as well. So all the language that we're using in the space is poetic in some way, and it's also about looking at metaphor and how you can take sensory words and sensory language and relay that to a group of people that may not understand the words themselves.
And then this week we were in the desert, so we were wanting to think about fire and heat and the sun. We were very warm, going on camels, very sweaty. There's lots of camel sweat involved. And then there was a mirage for a volcano, and the volcano spoke to us through the poetry.
Hello, you sounded like you're saying gold there.
What colour is it?
Yellow.
Oh, very good. Speaking of yellow,
Yeah.
we've got our sunshine, haven't we?
Yeah,
We need to at least make it feel like you are in the sun.
Oh,
The
sun is so bright.
My only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. It keeps so great, my sunshine away.
Oh, nice smile.
Smell it.
Very bright, isn't it? Oh, the sun's
That's not very
really
nice,
bright.
is it? All that
listen to me speak. You might think that I am fast asleep, but I am waiting patiently under your feet.
What I had to learn very early on from working in this context is you're not looking for the typical signs that you would normally get from a mainstream audience or a group of people. You're trying to really intimately understand how that young person responds to something, and there's only so much you can learn in a short space of time. But if you get a moment where a smile goes across their face, or sometimes a turn of the head, is enough to suggest that they are interacting with an experience that you're creating.
Next week we're going to look at earth as an element, and we're going to think about the jungle, the rainforest, leaves and dirt and stuff like that, and we're hoping, like, by having these like 3 very different workshops, that it's an opportunity for them to feel lots of different aspects of this of these topics.
And as the moonlight comes across, there are some strange creatures that emerge out of the jungle, and you can even hear some insects in the trees.
The jungle smells.
So beautiful.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh yeah, looks good. You ever thought about being green? Out of the undergrowth, there appears the one, the only child-eating witch herself.
Oh no, not the child eating.
The child-eating witch, Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga, Baba Yaga, ho, ho, 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 and she comes up and she gives you a little tickle as you sleep in your sleeping bag. She whispers in your ear, run. Luckily you call to the trees and you say, trees, help us please. And the trees shoot up and block Baba Yaga from your path.
What is that noise? Who goes there? Whoever you are, you better beware. Who is disturbing the jungle's peace? Who is shouting that terrible shriek?
The process has been really interesting as somebody who relies on talking a lot within my work. I have really enjoyed connecting with people on a different level, or a different way of connecting.
I mean, I'm constantly learning in these contexts because everybody is different, and nowhere does this kind of become more prominent than in this kind of context. You can't just place a label on people and expect them to respond in a certain way. You have to understand the individual, and you have to come back each week with a new bit of learning to say, I know that so-and-so really likes this. And you should be doing that anyway as an arts practitioner, but here it seems even more vital.
That communication that happens completely without words is something I've never experienced before, or experienced limited, and that has just like kind of opened up my eyes to like human interaction and how like different ways are really valid and exciting.